Ryan's father got up from his seat where he was peacefully covered in his blanket. He slowly moved towards the entrance to open the door. Ryan was back from her date. He opened the door to see his daughter so happily smiling, unlike other days. And the reason couldn't be anyone else but him, Jungkook. Look who you brought. Good evening, Mr. Kim. He respectfully bent in front of her father, earning a kind smile from him. Soon, Jungkook, Ryan, and her father were in the living room of their house. Ryan had gone to the kitchen to get them something to eat and drink while Jungkook and Ryan's father were having a conversation. How is your health? I am much better than before. Thanks to Ryan, she is the reason why the surgery was possible. She worked day and night just to pull us out of the situation we were going through. I'm glad. I'm just sad that you decided to give back the money I gave you. I didn't want that back. It is okay. Had I kept it, I would have to answer my daughter on how I got the money. She had become a person who doesn't want to take anyone's help or be indebted to someone. They both took in deep breaths, looking towards the kitchen. She has changed a lot, right? Even though I had known her personally only for 1 year, being in contact with you have given me a picture of how much she changed. I'm glad that you came to our house that evening to meet me. She was childish back then for cutting you off like that. And I can't thank you for how much maturely you acted in that situation. I honestly care about Ryan. That is why it was hard for me to leave her just like that. Listen, Jungkook, I'm glad that you are doing this and spending your time here. But what if she rejects you or your relationship doesn't work out? This time I will accept it, Mr. Kim. Back then, when we were teenagers, I knew she had acted on her emotions, but now she is an adult. If she says that she doesn't want to have any further relations with me, I will move on. Jungkook picked on his skin while imagining if he can even move on from her. She had hurt him, but he kept following her like a lost puppy all this time. Whenever his friends called him spineless and an idiot, he kept hoping that at some point she will like him back, after her anger has calmed down. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Wayne appeared from the kitchen with some drinks and food items and placed it on the center table. They got back to talking, catching up on each other's lives. Wayne was so happy to know that Jungkook had finally landed in the job he wanted to do. The two walked into her bedroom and workspace. Do you remember the pen you gave me on our university exam when mine ran out? She ran to her table, pulling the item out of the drawer and showing it to Jungkook with a wide smile. You have kept it. I didn't feel like emptying it, so I kept it safe. She pointed towards a pencil case which was in the drawer. Jungkook took a look into it to see a few other pens there. You've never told me that you collect pens. He grinned at her weird collection. Not just any pens, Jungkook. You see this pen? She pulled out a green colored one. Dad bought this on my first day of 5th grade when we started using pen for the first time in school. And this maroon ink pen? This was my mother's favorite pen. She smiled, looking at that pen, and looked back at Jungkook with the same smile. It is very special. She was an emotional person indeed. Though she wore an armor of blank face and angry tone, she was soft inside like a snail. Jungkook recalled how she cried in front of him after her mother's first-year anniversary of passing away. He had never seen her like that. Wine skipped through her room like a child, showing Jungkook some trophies and medals, things that she considered important to her. He was walking around with her, noting those things that were significant for her. Was he wasting his time for her? Her father's words came into his mind, but he shrugged it off for the time being, watching how happy Wyan was. Wyan, I want to know why you cut me off like that without giving me a chance to explain, he asked, getting Wyan's attention. Her face instantly dropped hearing him. She knew that he would ask for an explanation for her actions, but on thinking, she had many reasons to put blame on, but none to justify her. Wyan bit her lips as she had to give him an explanation, even if it means that she would have to explain probably every single instant, painstakingly remembering all her memories. Sit here and take your time. I will wait. Jungkook sat on the bed, placing his hands on his lap, waiting for her to speak. He was ready to be patient if she remained silent for a few minutes, for he had waited 5 years for her. She obeyed him and sat next to him, looking down. Jungkook, my mother passed away after an accident. Both my parents were on the car. And I have told you that it is the same accident where dad lost his wife and his ability to move. Jungkook looked at her figure, paying attention to her. After that, everyone who we thought were our friends and relatives washed their hands on us. A few people gave us money and words of encouragement. And that was it. I mean, what could have they possibly done? From there, our deposits in bank account depleted over surgeries and treatments that didn't bring any relief. It is the same time my ex-boyfriend broke up with me. You had a boyfriend? He didn't know that Wayne was once in a relationship. All of this happened before I joined the college. The treatment and the breakup, everything. I thought that going to the college and acting like I had never been in a relationship will help me have a new start. But what he said when he left didn't leave me. What did he say? He told me that he was just with me because both our parents were in similar jobs. Now that my dad is jobless and doesn't earn, we were just too different to be together. So he found you compatible just because of your parents' income? Wayne sighed in agreement. When I came to college and we became friends, my ears were constantly filled by some girls on why you are friends with someone like me. Why was I friends with you according to them? Because you just wanted someone to do your work. Because I was financially weak, I kept accepting the books and pens you gave me without any shame. And in return, you were just looking for a helper. Somewhere in your mind, did you believe that? At first, I didn't, but later on, it felt like they were right. Why would anyone do such a help without expecting anything in return? And at some point, I wanted to ask you to stop buying me things. But again, I was selfish. I wanted help, so I continued accepting them. I understand you. There is no point asking you why you never told me about this. Because why would you talk to someone you have doubts on? But why didn't you wait and hear the conversation I had with Doro? I couldn't stand hearing that. Now that I remember what I heard, I can recall how I didn't hear your voice talking about the poverty thing. But back then, when I heard you both talk, I felt like everything was repeating again. And whatever the girls in the college told me was right. And it was all aligning together that I just left the place assuming all of that. There was a few seconds of silence before he spoke again. I do understand that you were emotional that day, or maybe for weeks. But you were angry at me even today when we met. Why is that, Ryan? Why didn't you want to talk to me even after 5 years? I cannot justify that, Jungle. Back then, I was emotional. Later on, at some point, I regretted saying all that. But I was so caught up in stuff jobs, upskilling course, taking loans, and dad's surgery that I didn't have time to reflect on it much. But when I saw you today, those emotions resurfaced a shock of seeing you again, and those memories coming back. She was feeling frustrated and guilty about it. Placing her head on her palms, she bent down, embarrassed of all the things she had committed so far. Now that the misunderstandings were cleared, she was feeling so bad about not getting it clarified way earlier. Jungkook understood what she was feeling. He placed his hand gently on her back, his actions calming her a little. I am glad that we could clear things up. Can we go back to the way we were? I mean, can we start our friendship again? She looked at him with hopeful eyes. We are not the same people we were back then. We can start our friendship, but it won't be like before. Her heart sunk hearing him. But what could she do? She was at fault. Before that, let me ask you. You know that I have loved you and still love you. Would you like to take this relationship to something more than just friends, like a boyfriend and girlfriend? No, husband and wife. She panicked a little, listening to his sudden confession. We are both at an age where we can take more mature decisions and educated talks between us. So I thought, wouldn't it be better to come together into a wedded union? There was a silence from her side. She was frozen while thinking about what he said. Take your time, Ryan. We should. I mean, we should consider that. I have no reason to reject you, because I love you too, and you have waited for me for the last 5 years and made this meeting possible. If you're accepting my love just because you feel guilty over me waiting for you, then don't. I don't want to hear you say that you love me as a compensation for my waiting period. That is not why I'm accepting. I honestly bear feelings for you. In fact, I liked you on our college days, but I kept them aside because I didn't want to hurt myself. There was a silence of relief between the both of them. They had liked each other for a long time, and it was high time that they came together. Do you not want to know me better? I have been getting updates about you, but you don't know much about me. I would love to know about you. How about a day tomorrow then? Wayne smiled and nodded, accepting his request. Jungkook was happy that his wait was finally over. He may have waited for her a little too long, but he chose his happiness, which was having her by his side. But with it came the sacrifices, the period he waited for her to heal, witnessing her going through things helplessly. But in the end, he considered all these events worth it.